Parks, sport complexes, footpaths. Whether you realize it or not, public areas are everywhere. From the streets you drive on, to the parks you walk through, and even the benches you sit at are all public spaces. And they are all designed for everyone to use. But are they? Are they really designed for everyone? Use this part to transition. In this 10-minute documentary, we will be exploring areas within Grafton and comparing them against locations like Yamba, exploring the public accessibility of these areas and how Grafton compares to the expected standard of public accessibility. Grafton. Grafton is a town in the Clarence Valley, New South Wales, with a population of about 20,000. It is best known for its abundance of jacaranda trees, the historic Grafton Bridge, the historic buildings and shops, and its esteemed Jacaranda Festival. Grafton is an above-average sized town by Australian standards. So large, in fact, that many people refer to it as a city. Due to this, there are high expectations for Grafton in terms of its accessibility, and this is something Grafton seems to be aware of. Just in the last year alone, Grafton has spent over $10 million on what they call open space and recreational management projects. These are large-scale improvements to the pedestrian spaces, including the widening of footpaths in high-traffic areas, the addition of footpaths for roads previously lacking them, and the Grafton Waterfront Project. This is the part where we cut to me standing there. I am standing here at the Grafton Waterfront Project, which is the most expensive pedestrian access project that has ever been done in Grafton in the last 5 years, with the total cost adding up to $6.5 million. Its purpose is to increase the accessibility of the riverbank and reinvent the Clarence as one of the nation's great river experiences and redefine Grafton as a river city. And it shows. There is the main footpath that stretches across the river to provide a scenic view for pedestrians and cyclists, ramps for wheelchair users, and bushes and trees everywhere to decorate the environment for a nice walking pleasure. Surely $6.5 million well spent. How many people are here anyway? We saw 7. 7 people showed up. For a $6.5 million flagship project, this seems like an awfully small amount of people to be here. Also, one thing Grafton is known for, which is something I haven't mentioned yet, is Grafton's frequent flooding. In fact, flooding is so common that it occurs roughly every 2 to 3 years. So, the council decided to construct one of the biggest landscaping projects in Grafton's history in a location that is out of the way of any high-traffic areas, apart from the pub, in an area that is guaranteed to be completely flooded every 3 years. You know, I wonder if spending all of this money here was such a good idea. Where should they have spent this money? This is Sea Park. Located along Turf Street, this is a moderately sized park that has plenty of amenities. It also hosts the yearly Jacaranda Festival, where live music is played and performed underneath the jacaranda trees. I would know, as I have performed there several times. From the duck pond in the centre to the playground at the top, there are plenty of things to do here. However, disabled accessibility may not be one of its strong suits. When we arrived here for filming, we found that getting around only on the footpaths was inconvenient, frustrating, time-consuming, and sometimes flat-out hazardous. There were footpaths, however, we found them to be disconnected from each other and often aren't connected to the important areas, or were so out of the way that visiting the park becomes more of an act of endurance rather than relaxation. Some paths were cut off entirely by piping, and some seemed to lead to dead ends, forcing anyone on them to turn around back the way they came. Also, the pond in the middle has no railings to protect people whatsoever. Not even a curb to warn someone. Combine this with the duck poop that covers the entire lower footpath and bumps, and you have a recipe for disaster. It's all too easy for a person's wheel to get jammed and swerve violently into the pond, or someone to stop paying attention for just a second and cause an accident. Another concern is the bins and overall cleanliness of the areas, as the bins were often overcrowded and the grass littered with debris. If these issues were to be solved, the park would improve substantially. Throughout the film so far, I have been quite negative. All I've done is complain about problems in the community, but I've not shown any solutions or examples to argue my stance. And as Teddy Roosevelt once said, complaining without a solution is just whining. So I feel that I should provide an example of a town that does accommodation well. Roughly an hour from Grafton, you can find yourself within the location that is known as Yamba. The town has a population of around 7,000 and is best known for its main beach, lighthouse, museum, and other aspects. But are one of those aspects good public accessibility? Due to it being a part of the North Coast, we will compare it against Grafton to see if it's better, worse, or on a similar level of accessibility. At first glance, Yamba is already off to a good start. Near the main beach along the side of Yamba, many seats accompanied by tables can be found which extend all along the path. Also, a park which contains even more seats along the side of Yamba, of which the seats have a roof over the top of them at the park, capable of blocking rain and sunlight. Heading into town doesn't completely eradicate these seats either, as plenty of seats will still be presenting you with the opportunity to sit down. Well, how about people in wheelchairs? Well, Yamba also succeeds in this department quite well, with already named locations, such as the main beach, which has a secondary path for disabled people. In addition, the museum contains a ramp that allows access for wheelchair users, and if someone needs to stay at Yamba as a wheelchair user, Yamba also provides. Yamba's got a guest suite that is wheelchair accessible. The unit contains wide doorways, grab rails, a wheel-in shower, disabled toilets, and of course access ramps. And just outside the suite is a flat footpath with easy access into the town centre and the beach. As much as Yamba does a lot right, it isn't without its issues. Yamba can sometimes suffer from traffic issues due to the town only having one access road, making it a problem to get through this road during peak tourist periods. In addition, the singular access road continues to cause more complications when floods occur, as when a flood does happen, the turn will get cut off because of its single access road. Overall, Grafton may be spending millions into increasing the accessibility of their public spaces, but I feel the big and flashy mega projects could be detracting funds from areas that need the funding the most. Throughout Grafton, many footpaths are badly cracked and damaged in town, and public areas are often vandalized and sometimes abandoned altogether. These issues need to be fixed sooner than later. This is not to say Grafton isn't trying, as there are areas that have seen great improvements over the last few years. One example is the train station, which has been given brand new ramps and tactile buttons for the vision impaired. Still, Grafton is far from perfect, and there are still various issues to be solved. Perhaps putting functionality first over expensive tourism projects will lead to better towns and happier people. I'm Xander Young, and as always, thank you for watching.
Surely $6.5 million well spent.
How many people are here anyway?
2.
That's not...
Okay. Keep it in. We're doing
4, 3,
going now.
2,
From the playground, that's not a playground. Alright. Its purpose is to reinstigate... No, that's not it. Increase the accessibility of the riverbank.